Cichlids and Coffee live stream. Thank you for joining me and spending some of your Saturday with me. I am running a little bit, just a couple minutes behind this morning, only because I ran into some difficulties with a memory USB device that didn't, that sort of broke down in the middle of a video creation. So I'm running a little bit behind. Let's see here. Looks like we have some great folks already hanging around. Hey, Paul Newman and Adam are here. Hey, buddy. Kenneth and ex-colleague Kev. Very, very cool. Beautiful day away from California, loving Tennessee. You are ex-colleague Kev. Michael Lotnero, good to see you. Michael. Brian Hahn in the house. Hey, Brian. Good to see you there, buddy. Wally's Freshwater Aquatics. Hello to you, my friend. Can I get an AV check? Somebody give me an AV check. Uncle Smiley's Aquariums. Hello, Uncle Smiley. Miguel's here. Mexicali Fish Keeper is here. Midi Mac. Benton Lightcap. Hello, Benton. Running some shrimp to the store currently. Wow, cool. Hey, Tracy. Tracy in the house. Andy's here. There's some great people. TA420NK. Price tag. Hey, buddy. Good to see you, Price tag. Cat Sailor. Hey, Cat. Wet Sleeves Aquatics. Love that name. DeMars. All right. Looks like Kenneth D. in the house. Hey, Tamara. Good to see you. Tammy in the house. All right. Some great names. Hey, GP. One of my wonderful moderators. Vanuksky. Hello to you, Vanuksky. Miguel says the AV is great. Thank you, Miguel. Hey, Ron. Ron's in the house. All right. A lot of hellos, a lot more hellos to come, I'm sure. And hope you're all having a good Saturday, going into a good weekend. Hope you all had a good Labor Day weekend. I had a lot of fun driving across the country with my son, moving some furniture from Denver to Nashville. Quite an adventure. Oh, when you have 4 kids, it's always kind of neat to get some one-on-one time with one of them and just chat and have fun, and just a trip that we'll never forget. That spent a few days together, stopped at a couple nice hotels, driving a big old U-Haul. So let's see here. Let's do a couple very quick shout outs. Let's do a shout out to my friends over at the Aquarium Co-op. Hey, Corey. Hey, Zenzo. Thank you for all the backup, my friends. You rock and roll. Check out the Aquarium Co-op if you're not familiar with them. If you want to help the channel very indirectly, very subtly, you can by using the Amazon link to shop at Amazon. And this is just amazon.com/shop/ben.o.chart. And anything you buy on Amazon gives a credit to the channel without changing your prices. It's a very cool kind of program, and doesn't make me a lot of money, but if you can do it, do it. And if not, that's okay. But it's just one easy way to help the channel. Hey, big shout out to Josh at Cunningham Tropicals. He is a sponsor of the channel. And be sure to use those discounts. Ben.o.15 for 15% off on fish, and Ben.o.10 for 10% off on dry goods. So big shout out to Josh, and thank you for his help here in the fish room with both fish and food. I've been using some of his Cunningham Tropical special blend of food. Hey, another big shout out to those of you who are Patreons. And Patreon is a program that allows you to support the channel on a monthly basis. And it is awesome what it helps me do. And so big shout out to all of you who are Patreon members. If you see some stars next to your name, like you do, Brian, these are special Patreon members who go above and beyond. So, but it starts for as little as $3 a month, and it really helps. Now, the weather's getting colder, so you might want to run over to my Teespring store and pick up some sweatshirts. There's my Red Terror sweatshirt. I got a whole bunch of them over there, and I'm still working on a hat. I want to get a hat done, but I've got mugs and T-shirts and tank tops and all kinds of stuff there. But check it out over at Teespring, and from this point forward, we are going to be commercial free. Okay, so except wait a minute. A big shout out to my wonderful moderators, GP and Denny and John and Whip and all the great moderators that help keep the live stream rolling along. Thank you so much to all of you. So let's go ahead and make it official. What do you say? Here we go. It's just an excuse to get a sip of coffee. You know that. All right. So what's been happening here in the fish room? I've got some cool stuff going on. I've got, you folks saw that video on the auto top-off system. I have it installed under the 210. It's doing a wonderful job. And probably one of the funniest comments I got under that video is, why would I install that if I'm going to have to be filling the reservoir? Why not just fill the sump? That would be sort of like saying, why should I use auto feeders if I'm going to be having to fill the auto feeder? Why don't I just go ahead and feed the fish? Well, if you use auto feeders, you know that it means you fill them up once every what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, depending what you're doing. Same thing with the auto top-off. The auto top-off, depending on the size of the reservoir, you would need to fill it maybe once a month instead of having to top off the sump every week. So that little auto top-off is doing a great job. I'm watching it, and I'm watching the big bucket that I've got as the water reservoir. I'm watching it slowly go down, and I'm watching the level in my sump stay exactly where I want it to be, so that the pump has a lot of water and the sponges and media are having the water flow go through it exactly where I want it to go through it. So there you go. So I hope that answers that question on why would I use an auto top-off. I'm going to be doing another product review. I got something from a company called Ben.Q. See it here. Ben.Q. And what they sent me is going to allow me to do product reviews in a much sharper detail. And I'll tell you what I mean. This is it's called an idea cam. And what it allows you to do is to move in real close on products, like really examine the details of a filter or media or whatever project I'm working on. It's going to allow me to be able to switch to that camera and get some real nice close-ups. You can use it in business for like graphs and paper and things of that nature. It's a 15x 15 time magnifying lens, and it's supposed to be real sharp, and it can attach to your computer like like a regular cam, but it has high def resolution, 4K resolution, 8 megapixels, Sony CMOS. Anyway, so watch for that. I'm going to be doing probably, I'll do a review on this, and and use it on a product so you can see how sharp it is. And so that could be very interesting. I also have something else real exciting about to happen. And I mean, Josh and Cunningham Tropicals are certainly at this point the sponsor of a channel, but there were some fish I was looking for that at this particular moment Josh didn't have in stock, and so I kind of put up just sort of an open call. I just called out there into the world of fish vendors about how I would like to stock up the tank behind me, which, I mean, I think you'd agree in looking at it that for the size of tank it is, it looks relatively, it looks understocked as far as African cichlid tanks are. It looks understocked. I want to add more fish for a variety of reasons. One is the spreading out of aggression, okay, which is a very common reason for keeping a lot of cichlids together. That fire hap is pretty fired up, and he's chasing fish. Not to the point where I'm going to remove him, but he gets into his moods. The Malawi trout used to get into moods, but he seems to have mellowed out. The Rhodesii yellow used to have his moments. He's kind of mellowed out. So as they get older, they kind of chill a little bit. It seems like they go through this adolescence, probably where they have the strongest urges to breed and things of that nature. They build pits, and so like I imagine it must be around probably right when they reach that breeding age, maybe around year 3 or 4, where they'll show a lot of color and act a little crazy. Then what happens is, as time goes on, they continue to show good color, but they tend to kind of mellow out a little bit. They don't build the pits. They don't go after other fish as much. As a general safeguard, a large aquarium is a good idea. Some people don't like any decor in the aquarium because they think it's something a fish can claim. I like to have things in the aquarium that break the line of sight. But there seems to be a general consensus among big African cichlid keepers that keep big African cichlids that having more fish, and it sort of makes sense, to distract. It's almost like using the idea of a dither fish, except the whole aquarium works as a sort of dither for whoever happens to be fired up at the moment. So I got into a dialogue with Andre Fritz, not affiliated with Fritz Aquatics, fish food and meds and all that sort of stuff, right? He's not part of the Fritz family. He says he wishes he was, but he had a company that a couple years ago participated in a giveaway that I did, and that's Beantown Aquatics, right? Beantown Aquatics. If you're familiar with the saying, Beantown is Boston. It's just known as a Beantown, one of the nicknames it has for it. Like Chicago's Chi-Town or Windy City, but these cities have names, right? Little nicknames. Beantown is a nickname for Boston, but now he's relocated to Texas. So he's in Texas now, where he is able to set up, hundreds of aquariums because he's got a much bigger warehouse for less money. His water costs are higher. They charge more for water, apparently. I don't know why, but probably because it's a little bit drier down there. But he is, it's just a better overall deal for him to be in Texas. So he relocated. We started talking, and he's sending me some fish. Now, I sort of grilled him a bit on his quarantine protocols. And we talked about the fish he's going to be sending me, how they've been quarantined and how they've been medicated as part of the process, so that when I get them, I treat them like a pre-quarantined fish that I can, after they've caught their breath, I can go ahead and put them quickly into the 300 gallon, because I want to do that because I want to spread the aggression out, but also I want to reintroduce the eye biter all at once. I want to get the new fish and the eye biter back into the tank behind me. So he's run these fish through a rigorous quarantine process, which included meds. He's sending them to me airport to airport. So I'll have them like in 5 hours after, like after they leave Texas, I'll go over to B&A, Nashville International. I'll pick them up, bring them in. So their stress is going to be very nominal, and I'll be able to pop them in a sort of pre-quarantine fashion. Fingers crossed that nothing weird happens, but I feel confident about it. We've talked about it at length. And so stay tuned for some brand new exciting fish. Now, I sent him my wish list. I sent him the kind of fish that I'm looking for. And he sent back saying, okay, do you want to know what I have and what I'm going to send, or do you just want to be surprised? So I told him, you know what, surprise me. Let's have Christmas come early. So I'm going to open that box, and you and I are going to find out what he sent at the same time. So as I pull out the bags, you'll be able to see how he packaged them, and we'll be able to experience the excitement of what he sent together, because I have no idea what he's going to send. And I told him, we talked about sizes. I didn't want giant. I didn't want like your 8, 9, 10-inch fish, because I didn't want a fish to come in and sort of fight for the top spot. I wanted some fish that would come in and be a little bit sheepish, but big enough to hold their own, but not big enough to really disrupt the hierarchy immediately. I mean, some of them, as they put on size, might challenge things, but I wanted them in the 5, 6, 7-inch, so that the other fish don't feel at all threatened by them, but at the same time they're going to provide a distraction to fish like the fire hap, which probably over my shoulder you'll see him darting across the aquarium. He's been kind of fired up over the last few days. So just some exciting stuff that's going on. Now, let's get on to today's topic. Let me just take a quick look at what the heck you're talking about. I'm checking out the chat here. Are some of you familiar with Fritz, with Andre Fritz and Beantown Aquatics? If you're familiar, go ahead and let me know in the comments if you've had any experience with Fritz. Hey GP, those AI webcams are, yeah, I'm looking forward to plugging it in and getting it fired up. All right, let's see here. We're talking about Yankee baseball. Of course, my son's with Boston, so please don't bring up Yankee baseball during the live stream. My oldest son, who I went across the country with, is in charge of batter development for the Boston Red Sox. He doesn't want to see any Yankee conversations on. Okay, let's see here. All right, thank you to everybody that talked about the AV being good. All right, so no questions jumping out at me. By the way, if you ask a question, be sure to write my name first and then the question, and that way when I look at the chat, it'll jump out at me. Also, please, if you ever write a question underneath one of my older videos, please tell me where in the video you're asking, because I don't have 1,500 videos memorized, and very often I'll get a question that says, what was that fish that came out from behind the rock? Or what pump were you referring to? Or what was that food you dropped in? And what a question like that does is it makes me, first of all, one, I want to answer the question. I really do want to answer your questions. But it means that I have to go back and re-watch the video, because there was a time a few years ago where I could remember everything in the video. But some of these videos are, 5 years old, 6 years old. I'll go in there and, okay, I've got to rewatch the video and find a spot. So if you ask me a question under an older video, please tell me something like, at the 4-minute and 15-second mark, you put some food in the aquarium. What kind of food was that? That makes it real easy for me. I can go back in, look, go, oh yeah, that was a little bit of North Fin, or that was some Extreme, that was some Sarah, that was some Cunningham, whatever. So, because it's getting, I don't know how many videos I have up now, 1,400, well over 1,000, and so it's a little hard to remember all everything and everyone. I try, but all right. Now let's talk a little bit about fish. There's some fish that that their colors look like there's a light behind them. A lot of fish. I mean, I love the colors on all the fish, right? But sometimes the colors are, it's almost like the color is on, I don't know how to describe it. Like the color is on the fish, and it's sort of like a flat white paint job, right? And the fish is beautiful, but it's just sort of on the fish. It's not popping out. It's not like being like broadcasted to you. And there's some fish that just broadcast their colors. They just have this pop, this luminescence that's a little hard to describe, but it's, every time I see it, I'm like, wow, what an amazing thing. Now, I remember when I was a kid, we used to fish in some local ponds and some man-made lakes. For those of you in Los Angeles, Echo Park. I used to go fish in Echo Park. Near in Silver Lake, near Silver Lake, Los Angeles, and you'd catch something like a bluegill or a crappie, and the sun would hit them a certain way, and you'd go, oh my goodness, it was like crazy, as opposed to catching perhaps a carp or a catfish, and the color was just sort of flat, and the fish are still pretty, and had pretty patterns and shapes, but they were just a flat. Where these other fish were like, they looked like they had gems on their bodies, right? Like if you've heard of a galaxy Jack Dempsey, it's a thing called a galaxy Jack Dempsey. It looks like a universe of that has like different kinds of emeralds and colors, crazy. But I created some video clips of the fish that I think are my favorite currently, and of course, you know me, that can change by the end of this video. But currently, the fish that I think have that the most pop in the fish room. Now, there are a lot of other fish that have this quality that are not in my fish room, and I would certainly like for you to comment in the chat the fish that you think have that characteristic that might not be in my fish room currently. And I'm sure there are probably some apistos like that. There are other fish like that that I currently don't own that have that electric quality to them. But let me see if I can get these videos to, because I had to do a workaround. I couldn't complete the video, so I had to do a workaround. So I'm going to do this in 3 parts. And it's completely raw, completely unedited. There's no music. There's no graphics. It's just the raw footage, because the video I was trying to make, the memory device, for some reason, stopped communicating with the computer. Normally what I do is I move the files from the memory disk, from the memory card, get moved onto the computer in a file on the computer, and then I do my video editing, by moving it into the video editing software. I was trying to work directly from the USB, and the USB just crashed. It couldn't take it. So And the USB got real hot, so there was no fire, fortunately. I should probably keep an extinguisher down here in the fish room. But let me go ahead and I'll play these 3 different clips that would have been made into one video had I been able to. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can get this to work here. All right, let's try it again. Maybe what I can do is I can narrate as we go through it. Maybe that might be the better way to do it. Let me just go ahead and close that one. Go back to that first one and see if I can get that one to play. Okay. So there's the AC Hecali. That one certainly has that electric characteristic to it. The Congos, I mean, the Congos are absolutely beautiful, but they don't have that electric pop. When it comes to that electric pop, I think that, I mean, they're beautiful, but they don't have the pop like that albino that has those spots at the end of the dorsal, or the Hecali. So you see what I mean by that electric pop, that sort of lit sort of look. Don't get me wrong, I love the colors on in the 300-gallon behind all of my fish. I mean, this in the 300-gallon behind me, the fish that would have that characteristic, I think, the most would be the fire hap. I mean, the Rhodesii yellow is beautiful. I mean, certainly the look of a hawk is both the shape and the colors of a hawk are very, very pretty. But I think in this tank, when I filmed him, he was just completely fired up and chasing everybody. Something got into him. But that fire hap, I think, has got to be considered probably the most electric in the 300-gallon. Especially the way it contrasts with that orange anal fin. I mean, it's just beautiful. The Quinky is very pretty. The trout, of course, is very pretty. But again, these are colors that are more muted or flat. The Buccochromis notitania, when he gets older, is going to have some of that luminescence in his body. And certainly the Red Empress does. In the 210-gallon, I mean, there's a couple obvious choices. I mean, the Geos, I mean, the Geos always have that crazy backlit look to them. And the Geo is the fish that got me thinking about this whole idea of a battery powered fish, of an electric fish. I mean, just look at that. Look at the way he lights up when he turns. I mean, very different from the beautiful coloration on an Oscar or even a chocolate. The geocoloration is just crazy. And I love it. The coloration on the electric blue Ochart that's in the 210, the one that's in the 90 is a little bit dulled down for some reason. But that one in the 210 is really kind of a showstopper. You also get some of those very bright markings on a green tear and also on the face, in particular on the face of a Jack Dempsey. Now, the Salvini is an overall beautiful fish, but for electric markings, the spangles on the top of the Salvini body would be those marks. Now, I'd have to include the red tear because of the spots which are kind of toned down in this smaller black substrate aquarium, but under the right lighting, those dots on his body just explode. And, you know, I'd have to include in the list, I'd have to add the neon blue, you know, those little dwarf rainbows, which the camera can never really capture the beauty of them. But they really do have that sort of plugged in look, especially with the blue contrasting with the red fins. I just think they're beautiful. And another fish that we just take for granted in the hobby because it seems like it's always been there are neons. And I would include your black neons, you know, your glow lights, you know, your orangey ones, your head and tail lights, but just your plain old basic neon or cardinal, we just take it for granted. But the truth is that it's actually a very, very pretty fish. And I'm sure there's some scientific chemical explanations for why some fish have that kind of pop. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a scientist, but I think it's pretty amazing. In the 90, going back to this 90, I mean, if I had to, I mean, I would say the Congos have some of the, yeah, you're beautiful. The red spotted gold severum. He's just a big camera hog. Loves to mug it up. But again, in this tank, I would have to give that sort of luminescence award to the albino Ochart, who just at this moment happens to be hiding behind a cave back there. But the coloration on his body is something. And here he comes, so we can coax him out here. Here he comes. And you'll see it when he goes sideways. See the sort of luminescent spots along the gill plates, on the tail, on the dorsal, even on the pec fins. He's got these little spots that look like they're being lit from behind, along with those red trailers and a little blue tinge on the tail. Just a really, really pretty fish. The AC Heckelei, which is of course a cousin of that albino Ochart, another type of Ochart. These are not geos. They were considered geos at one point, but I believe they've been reclassified and taken out of the geo class. But that Heckelei is also a pretty fish, but a little bit hard to compete with this, with that pink and orange in the dorsal fin, the blue tinge on the tail, and the spots just make that albino Ochart extremely special. But you can see there the AC Heckelei does light up when the light hits them a certain way. And some of you out there have the scientific background. You know why some fish light up this way. Sometimes it's from breeding, like I've heard your electric blue Ocharts were the result of a breeding project. So at any rate, I'm going to cobble together these clips, and I'm going to make one video that actually sort of flows along and is narrated and communicates correctly and isn't choppy or broken up. Yep. You're the number one electric fish, sir. The fire hap. And one of the reasons I want to throw a bunch of cichlids in here is to calm down fish like that fire hap. I'm not saying you're not pretty, or DCI yellow, or a hawk, or Nototania. There's the strigatus, the most underrated cichlid. At any rate, you get it. So watch for an actual edited and put together video. I'll put some, some words, some lettering. I'll put some music. I'll put some, make it an actual video. But I think that kind of coloration on a fish to me is amazing. Now it's funny. I'm watching the 55-gallon where in front of me, I've got the planted one, and then I've got the one that's divided and has the eye biter on the right side doing time because of the crime. And then on the left side, I have the red tear, and the red tear keeps rushing the divider and then stopping just short of it, like trying to threaten the eye biter. The eye biter just ignores him, but I think if that divider wasn't there, the red tear would be going after that eye biter pretty hard. So let me see what some of what you're saying here. Let me pull up this, pull up the chat. Let me see if you have any questions for me. Hey, Whip. Whip has jumped in Omaha, Nebraska. Oh, at the zoo. Okay. It's happening at the zoo. I like zoos. We have a great zoo here in Nashville. Fish keeping friend. You know, I've heard that from several people, fish keeping friend, that my voice is soothing. And I just hope that's not a nice way of saying your videos put me to sleep, but but I get what you're saying, and I thank you for that. Someone used to always say I sounded like a celebrity. I forget what celebrity it was, but I used to always get this one celebrity all the time. You know, you sound a lot like blah, blah, blah. TA420 and K Cardinals will always be my favorite tetra. I mean, yeah, they're so common. They get taken for granted. But when you just stop for a second and just pretend that you've never seen one before, and it's the first time you've ever seen that fish, it's like, wow, that is really pretty. That nature would serve up something like that. It's just amazing. Michael Lotinero went to Hobby Lobby and bought a lot of fake plants. The only thing I would say to stay away from are silk plants, because once silk plants get a little bit of algae, and they will eventually because they're a great home for algae, they become uncleanable. You can even bleach them, and all you do is lose the color of the silk. So stay away from silk plants, but otherwise you should be okay. I hope that they're aquarium safe. You know, peas and haps forever. I've thought about a star sapphire. And I've thought about that. I love star sapphires. And I just don't know if they have enough swagger, enough attitude to hang with these kind of fish, which can be aggressive, which can be, so I don't know. I'm not sure, but it is on my short list of fish I love. GP, getting fish from Imperial Tropicals. Are you going to tell us what you're going to get? Are they cichlids? I've had good luck with Imperial, and I think his name is Mike, one of the owners or the owner of Imperial. Very impressed with everything they do. Brian has experience with Beantown Aquatics. Very cool. Any questions for me, go ahead and ask them in the chat. Just put Ben Ochart in front of your question, and I'll be sure to catch it. Brian, now you can't be late without a note. So we need a note from a parent or a doctor as to why you were late for the live stream, and you can email that to me. And of course, I'm kidding. Welcome to the live stream, Brian. Michael, you say they looked like what Elite Cichlids had. I had a call from one of the owners of Elite Cichlids. We had a nice conversation. We talked about them going back in business. I offered to promote them if they did, but a real loss to the community when we lost those guys, because boy, did they make some nice plastic plants. Please excuse Brian. Okay, that's good. And Peas and Haps Forever says, I have one in my... Okay, so you must be talking about the Starry. Yeah. Beautiful fish. So Peas has one, seems to be holding his own. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe I'll try one, you know. Texas cichlids. Adam says that his Texas cichlids have those little spots that light up, those speckles. The ones on top of the Salvini are called spangles, I heard. And but on the gills, maybe they're speckles. But yeah. I've noticed you see that more prominent, definitely more prominent in the American cichlids, the New World. The African cichlids will have some of that coloration, but it'll be like the head or the lips, or sometimes on the tail, right? But it's not those bright bursting dots on the body like you get with the South and Central American cichlids. DD Aquarium. I've had mine for my Salvini that are not Salvini, but Savini Geos. I've had my Geos for at least 2 years, maybe going on 2 years, and they're approaching full size. They might put on another inch or so, maybe get a little thicker, but I would say, between maybe a couple years till they get to that final big bulky size. And I remember Cichlid Bros. Cichlid Bros had some real big geos. You remember those? And maybe another inch to an inch and a half larger than mine. So maybe 3 years, maybe, to get to that point where they're filled out, not just longer, but filled out and bulky. Beautiful fish, absolutely beautiful fish. Love the way they sift. Brian Hahn getting a sand diver from the cartel in Arizona. A couple folks, and maybe perhaps you, mentioned that cichlid cartel in Arizona, that I should look into it. I'm surprised I didn't visit them. Are they near Tucson? Because when I went to go visit James over at the Cichlid Shack, we went to a few shops, but I don't remember the cichlid cartel. Maybe are they retail, or are they only online? But yeah, sand divers, my goodness, they're one of my favorites for sure. Love me a sand diver. Tammy has a electric blue Jack Dempsey. Got it at Petco. Growing out. Now, good luck with that fish. It's my experience, unfortunately, with those fish has not been good. And I've heard that this may not be the case because I also heard from other people that said that they had theirs for years. But the one that I picked up was a beautiful fish, similar to the electric blue Ochart in the pop, except with the spots, which was just beautiful. But he just rolled over and died on me, and it was very sad, very frustrating because I love that little guy. And then I started doing research, and I heard that particular strain does tend to do that, and they think it's because of the inbreeding, or I don't know what the reason was, but because of the genetics to bring out that electric color. So I'm not sure what the case was. I just hope yours lasts a very long time. Wacky Plays, I got a 450-gallon tank with 2 brook trout? Wow. That's like something that you would see at over at the bass store, where you can actually try out a lure and see if they hit a lure. You can try out some lures without hooks. Take the hooks off of them and test some lures in that 450-gallon and see what they chase, and then go ahead and set them up and go do some fishing. That's a huge tank. Now, did you buy it brand new? Or did you get like a special deal on the internet, or my goodness? DSGF, decades ago I had a Jack Dempsey. They are beautiful fish. And a long time ago I saw a thing, I mentioned it earlier, called a Galaxy Jack Dempsey, which their entire body was covered with these gorgeous reds and blues and green spots, like someone had just taken neon paint and just made little dots all over them. They're beautiful fish, for sure. They grow super slow. It's like growing asparagus. If you've grown asparagus, 2 years before it looks like you might get a crop, and then another 2 years to grow it out. Jakey Blue, I agree. Starfire are very calm. I have a big, beautiful one in my tank, and I get worried sometimes because I have a big Taiwan reef. Taiwan reefs can be rough. People think protomelas are not rough, like fire, because they think of like a smaller Taiwan reef, an imperial. But they can be tough. They can be tough fish. But yeah, keep an eye on them. This Empress behind me is getting harassed. I can tell the tail has a little bit of ragged marks on it, and I'm positive it's the fire hab. It's the other protomelas who doesn't want another protomelas in the tank. Well, let's see if that changes. If I put a Taiwan reef in there, if I put the eye biter back, I put some fish in there from Andre over at Beantown. Let's see if he stays that interested in that red Empress, or he's going to start looking out for his own butt, and which is what I'm hoping. Everybody just ends up having to kind of watch their step, because we'll have a lot of fish in there that'll be working as a giant dither aquarium. Now that's interesting. TA420NK, do you have reef lighting? Now, how is, maybe you can share with us, how is reef lighting different from a full spectrum light? You would think that corals would need full spectrum. Is there a black light characteristic in there? Is there something that is like what? Why would the reef lighting be different or better in bringing out that pop in those kinds of fish? I'd be curious to know about that. I know some of the high-end reef lighting that's out there is super expensive, right? $300 for one round little, but it does create a pop. It creates a shimmer in the water. I've noticed reef lighting, expensive reef lighting, creates that water shimmer that's really pretty. But yeah, I'd be curious. What spectrum are they working in? Now, if anyone hit me with a super chat, I did not catch it because while I was fumbling around with those videos, I wasn't looking. So if you hit me with a super chat, thank you for that. And a super chat is like a way of helping the channel, but you also help the channel by giving the video a thumbs up. Also by visiting the upload once it gets uploaded to YouTube, visiting the upload and watching a little bit of it there, giving it a thumbs up. And that way the live streams don't get uploaded and then die because nobody wants to make the commitment of a 1-hour video. So, are you ever on YouTube and you look at a good thumbnail and you go, oh, wow, that's a great topic. And then you look at, oh, no, I don't have an hour. All right, let's see here. Tammy is overrun with trumpet snails. You should pick up a group of three small to medium size clown loaches. At least three. They have to be in a group of 3 or more. And they'll take care of your trumpet snails. They'll clean that up. Anybody else have trumpet snail problems? They usually hitchhike on a plant purchase. They'll usually do a little hitchhike. Hey, Cat Sailor. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for that. Super chats are always appreciated, and they always help. Now, is Jerry in the house? Jerry. I don't see Jerry. Jerry Martin is probably helping out with his church today. But we were talking about the possibility of going to the Ohio Cichlid Association the weekend before Thanksgiving. If you folks are in Ohio, I might be there, so check it out. Now, does that say B Germ? Good morning, Ben. Long-time viewer, first time interacting. Well, hello to you, B, and thank you so much for interacting. You know I love all my lurkers. People who lurk and never say anything, but they watch the videos. You're loved. You're appreciated. But I thank you, B, for jumping in. If there are any other lurkers out there, go ahead and jump in and introduce yourself. And let's see how many lurkers are actually on the live stream today. Tammy, get 3 of them. I've had 1 or 2 clown loaches, and I kid you not, they go into a depression. You need between 3 and 6 minimum. They keep each other company. They cuddle up. They lay on top of each other. They're hilarious. They're like puppies. But you need a minimum of 3. That's just this man's opinion. But yeah, try and get 3 if you can, and they will clean up your snails real quick. They'll clean up your snails. There are other fish, right? Your little puffers. Some puffers will clean them up. Other loaches, right? Other types of loaches will eat the snails. Not your coolie loaches. They'll leave the snails alone, but other types of loaches will. All right, we'll see what happens when you're having fun. Now it says here, YouTube is telling me that this is Cat Sailor's 5th super chat. Well, that's kind of cool that YouTube would keep track of super chats. So Cat Sailor, thank you for all 5 over the course of all 5 of your super chats over time. Very, very cool that YouTube would let me know that. All right, Angelo, I'm a Michigan fan. I don't go to Ohio. At least not during football season. And if you do go to Ohio, don't wear any of your Michigan gear. Oh, my goodness. People take their football pretty seriously. We're getting a new stadium here for the Titans. It's going to be very beautiful. A $1 billion project. We'll see what it looks like. They're really going to be building up the river, the river area here in Nashville and downtown. It's going to be, and of course, Oracle is moving in, 3,500 jobs right on the river. They're going to build a giant promenade and plaza, and we'll have the stadium down there. And when you go to a game here, you can go a couple miles away and eat at a restaurant on the river, and then that river restaurant provides water taxi to the stadium. So you get off the water taxi, you're at the stadium, and then you water taxi back to the restaurant. Brilliant on the part of the restaurant to provide that service, and saves you all the downtown, all the traffic problems, all the parking issues. You just water taxi to the game. I think it's just brilliant. And reason number 370 why I love Nashville. All right, so that's all I have for now. And I think while we're on the topic of snails, if you're in Nashville or in Middle Tennessee and you would like a couple of what look like pagoda snails, some people call them rabbit snails, I have got 100 of them. I will give you a couple nice size pagoda snails that are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Let me know. I'll meet you at the Aquatic Critter. I'll give you a couple. Or I might just take a whole bag of them over to the Aquatic Critter. They'll give me a store credit. But I've got tons of these beautiful little pagoda snails. I got hundreds of little dots on the glass. And they look like periods. They're smaller than the baby plecos. And you get real close, and they're just little teeny pagodas. Really pretty. So if you're in Nashville, maybe I'll meet you at the Aquatic Critter, give you a couple. Or maybe I'll give a couple to, I'll drop them off at Aquatic. So that's it for me, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all this next Saturday, same time, same channel. Thank you, everybody, for spending an hour with me. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna polish up those video clips and produce one continuous video that makes sense about electric fish, and add some narration to it. And I'm not going to be trying to make a video directly from a USB anymore. I think the 4K data is just too much going back and forth with that little USB. So I will not be making that mistake again. But at any rate, thank you so much, everybody, for spending some time with me. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and end off at this point. Thank you, wonderful moderators, super chatters, and Patreon members, and all of you who have given the video a thumbs up and stopped by. Thank you, everybody. And I'll see you next week.